Aaron was an ordinary worker on the colony station called Haven 6. His job was not important compared to the admirals or the scientists. He fixed machines, cleaned filters, and checked wires in empty halls. Life was quiet, and he liked it that way. The colony was far from Earth, far from war, and far from danger. At least, that was what Aaron thought. On one silent evening, he was walking down a long corridor with a toolbox in his hand. A power relay had failed in the lower hangar, and he had been called to repair it. He expected nothing but smoke, sparks, and maybe a burned-out fuse. When he entered the hangar, the air felt different. The lights were dim, and the sound of heavy engines hummed through the walls. At the far end of the hangar, a ship stood. It was larger than any human vessel he had seen before. Its hull curved like bone, glowing faintly with silver markings. Strange banners hung from its wings, displaying a crest of moons and a wolf-like shape. Aaron froze. He knew at once that this was no human ship. Before he could turn back, voices echoed across the hangar. Tall figures walked down the ramp. Their bodies were strong, their skin marked with patterns of fur and scars. Their eyes glowed golden in the low light. Aaron had read about them only in reports. The Lutheri, a proud and ancient species, half like humans and half like wolves. They were said to be fierce in battle but loyal to those they trusted. Aaron's first thought was to hide, but his second thought came too late. A smaller figure stepped out from behind the guards. She looked younger, though her presence was commanding. Her silver fur shimmered as if touched by starlight. A crown-like band rested on her brow. She was clearly not just any Lutheri. Aaron guessed she was royalty, maybe even the princess. The princess looked around the hangar with curious eyes. She seemed unafraid, but her guards remained tense, watching every corner. Aaron wanted to step back slowly and leave without a sound, but as fate would have it, a repair drone sparked to life behind him. The machine jolted forward with a loud crackle, its sparks lighting up the shadows. The princess spun around with a sharp growl. She reacted faster than Aaron could blink. Her sharp teeth flashed, and before Aaron could move away, she lunged at him. He raised his hand in defense. Her teeth sank into his palm. The pain was sharp, but it was not the crushing pain of a wound meant to kill. It felt different, hot, electric, as if something alive was flowing into him. The guards rushed forward, but they did not attack him. Instead, they froze, eyes wide, then dropped to one knee. Their voices rose together in their language. Aaron could not understand all the words, but one stood out. They kept calling him something that sounded like Prince. Aaron held his bleeding hand and stared in confusion. The princess pulled back, her silver eyes glowing strangely. She looked at him not with anger but with shock. She whispered in a tongue that sounded like a mix of growl and speech, then placed her hand over his. The bleeding stopped almost instantly. His skin burned, but the wound closed before his eyes. What did you do to me?" Aaron whispered. The princess tilted her head, studying him. She spoke again, slower this time. "Chosen," she said in broken human words. "Bond." The guards stood tall again, their golden eyes fixed on him. They no longer looked at him like an intruder. They looked at him as if he carried a crown he did not understand. One of them stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Prince," he said clearly in human tongue, his voice deep and steady. Aaron shook his head quickly. No, I am not. I am not a prince. I am a worker. I fix wires. You made a mistake." But no one listened. The guards moved around him, forming a circle of protection as if he were suddenly the most valuable person in the hangar. The princess kept her hand on his, her eyes never leaving his face. Inside, Aaron felt his heart race. He had no idea what had just happened. The bite still burned, but along with the heat came strange feelings. His hearing sharpened. He could pick out the hum of each engine in the hangar. His eyes caught details in the shadows he had never seen before. And deep in his chest, he felt a pull, like an invisible thread tied between him and the princess. The hangar doors opened again, and human officers entered with hurried steps. They stopped in shock at the sight before them, the Lutheri princess holding the hand of a simple maintenance worker, the guards standing in a protective circle around him. The officers looked confused, their eyes darting between Aaron and the aliens. "What is the meaning of this?" one officer demanded. Before Aaron could speak, a Lutheri guard answered. "The bond has been made. He is prince now. By the bite of royal blood, he is chosen." The officer's face turned pale. "Prince? What are you saying? He is no prince. He is just..." But the princess cut him off with a low growl. She raised her head high, her voice calm yet firm. "Prince," she repeated, pointing to Aaron. Aaron felt the weight of 100 eyes on him. He wanted to laugh, to deny, to say this was all a mistake. But the burning in his hand and the look in the princess's eyes told him something else. Whatever had happened, it was real. The bond was real. In that moment, Aaron's quiet life as a simple worker ended. He did not know what it meant to be called prince. He did not know what the bite had truly done to him. But he understood one thing: his life would never again be ordinary. The princess kept her hand on his as if sealing a promise. The guards bowed once more. And Aaron, still in shock, could only whisper to himself, "What have I gotten into?" Aaron woke the next day in a medical chamber on the station. The lights above him were soft, and a monitor near his bed hummed quietly. His hand, the one that had been bitten, no longer looked wounded. Instead, it carried faint silver marks shaped like crescent moons, glowing faintly when he touched them. He sat up slowly, confused. His memory of the night before felt sharp, yet unreal. He remembered the bite, the guards kneeling, the princess's eyes on him. It all played again in his mind, like a dream that would not fade. The door slid open, and a man in a white coat stepped in. He was Dr. Halen, the chief medical officer. His face carried a mixture of worry and amazement. "Aaron," he said, "you should be resting, but I see you are already awake. How do you feel?" Aaron rubbed his temples. "Strange. My head is clear, but everything feels louder. I can hear your heartbeat. I can smell the metal in the walls. What is happening to me?" The doctor studied the glowing marks on Aaron's hand. "I ran scans while you slept. Your body is changing. Faster reflexes, stronger muscles, and your senses are enhanced far beyond normal human limits. I cannot explain it with human science, but the Lutheri bite seems to have altered you." Before Aaron could ask more, the door opened again. This time it was the princess herself. She entered with 2 guards behind her. The guards stood tall, silent as stone, while the princess stepped closer. She carried herself with calm authority, yet her silver eyes softened when they fell on Aaron. "Bond," she said, pointing to his hand. Aaron pulled his hand back slightly. "I never asked for this bond. I did not even know what it meant. You bit me by accident." The princess shook her head slowly. Her voice carried a gentle growl as she tried to form human words. Not accident. Royal blood bite is sacred. You are chosen. Aaron frowned. Chosen for what? I am not a fighter, I am not a leader. I fix machines. That is all. One of the guards stepped forward, his golden eyes shining. Chosen means bound to princess. You are now her equal. To us, you are prince. Aaron's heart pounded. He wanted to laugh at the absurdity of it. Him, a simple worker, called a prince by a race of proud warriors. But the glow on his hand reminded him that something had truly changed. The princess sat on the edge of the bed, studying him carefully. Then she spoke more words, this time in her own tongue. Though Aaron could not understand, he felt a strange pull inside, as if the meaning touched his thoughts directly. He sensed her intention. She was telling him that the bond was not only tradition but life itself. Aaron shook his head again. This cannot be real. I am human. I do not belong in your rituals. Dr. Halen cleared his throat softly. Aaron, whether you believe it or not, the bond is already affecting you. Your biology has been rewritten somehow. Denying it will not change what you are becoming. The princess reached out and touched his marked hand again. The moment her fingers brushed his skin, a wave of warmth spread through him. His hearing sharpened even more. He could hear the guards breathing, the hum of every machine in the room, even the faint vibration of the ship docked outside the station. He gasped and pulled his hand back. What is happening to me? The princess answered in her slow, careful voice. Our bond is life. My bite gives strength. My bite gives link. You are not only human now. You are Lutheri bound. Aaron stared at her. A part of him wanted to run, to escape this strange fate. But another part felt something new, something deep inside him that whispered he was no longer alone. That night, Aaron could not sleep. The medical chamber was quiet, but his mind was alive with strange dreams. He saw moons circling a world he had never visited. He ran through forests under silver skies, his feet faster than the wind. He heard howls echoing across mountains, and in the middle of them stood the princess, her eyes glowing, calling to him. When he woke, sweat covered his skin, but his body felt stronger. He clenched his fists and noticed that his hand healed completely. Even the scar marks of past burns and cuts had faded. The next morning, Aaron was summoned to the command deck. The human officers stood beside the Lutheri guards. The air in the room was tense. Admiral Riss, the human commander, looked at Aaron with unease. Do you understand what you have done? The admiral asked sharply. Aaron shook his head. I did not do anything. She bit me, and now everyone keeps calling me prince. The admiral slammed his fist on the table. That bite, Aaron, is not just some ritual. It binds you to their royal line. It makes you part of their leadership. Do you understand what this means for our people? One worker, by accident, has tied humanity to Lutheri royalty. The princess lifted her chin proudly. Not accident. Fate. Bond is true. The admiral's face tightened, but he said nothing more. The Lutheri guard beside him spoke firmly. He has passed the first step. The bond is alive. He must face the trials to prove he is worthy. Aaron's stomach sank. Trials? What kind of trials? The princess turned to him, her voice soft but steady. Test of endurance. Test of spirit. If you fail, bond will break, and you will suffer. If you succeed, you will be prince fully. Aaron's hands trembled slightly. He wanted to argue, to protest that he never chose this, but when his eyes met hers, he felt the thread again, the invisible pull between them. He saw no malice in her gaze, only expectation and a strange form of trust. That night, when Aaron returned to his quarters, he looked at his reflection in the mirror. His eyes seemed sharper, his stance stronger. He whispered to himself, "I am no prince. But maybe I cannot run from this anymore." For the first time in his life, he felt that his simple world had been broken apart. He was no longer just Aaron the worker. He was something else, bound to a princess of another world, carrying a title he did not understand. And soon, he would face trials that would decide not only his future but perhaps the future of both their peoples. The following day, Aaron was taken from his quarters before the sunlamps of the station even brightened. 2 Lutheri guards stood at his door, their tall frames blocking the corridor. They did not speak much, only giving him a nod and a single word, "trial." Aaron followed them nervously. His steps echoed as they led him through winding corridors, past curious human crew and silent Lutheri soldiers. Everyone seemed to know where he was going, and everyone stared at him as if he carried a crown he could not see. At the end of the corridor, heavy doors slid open, revealing a wide chamber. The walls glowed faint blue, and the floor shimmered with lines of energy. It was a simulation arena, a place used by the military for training and testing. Today, however, it belonged to the Lutheri. The princess stood at the center, her silver eyes glowing in the dim light. Around her, several more Lutheri guards watched closely. She raised her hand toward Aaron as he entered. "Bonded," she said softly. "You face the trial." Aaron swallowed hard. "What kind of trial is this?" "I told you, I am not a fighter." One guard stepped forward. His golden eyes locked on Aaron. "The trial of the pack is not only battle. It is test of heart, strength, and spirit. All who are bound must face it." The princess's voice was calm. "You will not fight real beasts. You will face our legends. The chamber will show them. Survive until the moons rise in the sky above you. Then you prove you are worthy." Before Aaron could ask more, the chamber lights dimmed. The walls around him shifted, and suddenly he was standing in a vast forest under silver moons. The air smelled of pine and earth. Leaves rustled in the wind. The simulation was so real that Aaron forgot he was on a space station. A low growl echoed through the trees. Aaron's heart raced. He looked down at his hands, no weapons, no armor, only his own strength. The first beast emerged from the shadows. It looked like a massive wolf with black fur and eyes like fire. Its fangs dripped as it circled him. Aaron's legs wanted to run, but something inside him whispered to stand firm. He grabbed a broken branch from the ground and held it like a staff. The beast lunged. Aaron rolled aside, faster than he thought possible. His body moved with new speed, his instincts sharper. The branch cracked against the beast's side, making it stumble. It howled, then dissolved into mist. Aaron gasped. He was still alive. But more growls came from the trees. 2 shapes stepped out this time, larger than the first. His hands trembled, but his senses sharpened even more. He could hear their claws scrape the ground, could feel the rhythm of their breath. They charged together. Aaron dodged one, then swung his branch at the other. The wood shattered, but his hands did not stop. He punched with all his strength, and the beast burst into mist like the first. The second leaped at him, its jaws wide. Aaron twisted and slammed his shoulder into its chest. Pain shot through him, but the beast vanished with a growl. Breathing hard, Aaron looked around. The forest grew darker. More shapes appeared, 3 this time, circling. He felt fear, but also something else, something deeper. His heartbeat matched the rhythm of the forest, as if the bond inside him gave him courage. The battle lasted long. Each wave of beasts was stronger, faster, smarter. But Aaron also grew sharper. He learned to move with the wind, to listen to the smallest sound, to strike at the right moment. His body ached, but he refused to fall. At one point, one of the guards watching from outside whispered, "He fights like a Lutheri." Inside the simulation, Aaron stumbled as a massive beast appeared. It was taller than him, with silver fur and burning red eyes. This one was no ordinary legend, it was the spirit wolf of HFY Stories, the test of final endurance. Aaron's chest heaved. He had no weapon left, only his hands and his will. The wolf circled him slowly, its growl shaking the ground. Then it charged. Aaron stood his ground. He felt the bond in his hand burning, glowing brighter than ever. He raised his arm, and when the wolf struck, he pushed forward with all his strength. His palm touched its chest, and light erupted from the mark on his hand. The wolf howled and burst into silver mist, filling the air with a glow like moonlight. The forest faded, the moons rose higher, and then everything dissolved. Aaron collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. The chamber returned to its plain metal walls. The princess stood before him, her eyes shining with pride. "You passed," she said softly. The guards all bowed their heads. One of them spoke in a deep voice. "He stood against the pack. He is worthy." Aaron looked around, still trying to catch his breath. I only survived. I am no warrior." The princess stepped closer and placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are more than warrior. You are spirit strong. That is what Bond needs." Aaron felt heat rise in his chest, not from fear this time, but from something like honor. For the first time, he realized the Lutheri did not see him as weak or unworthy. They saw him as one of them. The admiral of the humans, who had been watching from behind a glass wall, frowned deeply but said nothing. His eyes showed both fear and respect. Aaron had proven something today that no human ever had. As Aaron walked out of the chamber, every Lutheri guard bowed their head once more and spoke the same word together, "Prince." Aaron did not answer, but inside, he began to wonder if maybe this strange title was no longer a mistake. After the trial, Aaron expected his life to return to normal, but nothing about his life was normal anymore. Every corridor he walked down, Lutheri guards bowed their heads and called him Prince. Even human crew members looked at him differently now. Some were curious, others fearful. Aaron himself did not know what to feel. He still thought of himself as the same maintenance worker who fixed wires and patched hulls, yet his hand glowed with a mark that carried power he could not deny. The princess, Myra, stayed close to him. She walked the station halls with her guards, but always she found time to speak with Aaron. Her words were broken when she spoke human language, but her meaning was always clear. One evening, they sat in the observation deck, looking at the stars. Myra turned to him. "You did not fall in the trial. You stood strong. Now others will see you as one of us." Aaron sighed. "I never wanted to be one of you. I never wanted to be anything more than what I was. But now everyone calls me Prince as if it is written in stone." "Why me?" Myra's silver eyes glowed faintly. "Because fate chose you. Or maybe, someone else chose." Her words made Aaron pause. What do you mean someone else? Myra lowered her voice, almost like a whisper. The trial was not supposed to happen yet. The bond was not supposed to happen here. Some in my court want humans tested. They want to see if your kind is strong enough to stand beside us in war. Aaron frowned. War? Against who? Myra's gaze shifted to the stars. There are others beyond these borders. Old enemies. They rise again. Some think humans may be the allies we need. Some think humans are weak. The bond you carry has become proof for both sides. Aaron felt a chill. So his bite, his so-called bond, might not have been an accident at all. Maybe someone had planned for this. Maybe someone had wanted him to be bitten, to be pulled into this strange destiny. That night, Aaron could not sleep. He walked alone through the quiet halls of the station, his thoughts heavy. He wondered if Myra herself had known, or if she too had been caught in this game. As he turned a corner, he overheard two human officers speaking in hushed tones. This bond is dangerous, one said. If they see him as royalty, then humanity may be pulled into their wars. Or worse, the other replied, if he turns against us, we lose control. One worker has become more important than our leaders. Aaron stepped back before they noticed him. His chest tightened. He was not a leader, not a soldier, not someone who wanted power. Yet here he was, the center of whispers and shadows. The next day, Myra asked him to walk with her in the docking bay. The place was quiet, filled only with the hum of ships and the low growl of engines. As they walked, Aaron spoke. Myra, I need to know the truth. Did you bite me by mistake, or was it planned? Myra stopped and looked at him. Her eyes softened. I was startled. That is true. But I also know this royal bite is sacred. It cannot happen by pure accident. There is always reason. Maybe I did not see it, but now I feel it. The bond between us is real. Aaron looked at his hand, the glowing mark burning softly. And now others will use it. They will try to use me, use you, use this bond for their own goals. Myra nodded. Yes. Already there are whispers in my court. Some are glad, some are angry. But you must know this, I do not see you as a tool. I see you as partner. Her words struck something deep in Aaron. For all his fear and confusion, he believed her. She did not see him as an accident or a weapon. She saw him as equal. Later that day, a strange event confirmed his fears. While walking back to his quarters, Aaron was stopped by a Lutheri guard he did not recognize. The guard's eyes were cold. He spoke quickly in his own language, then switched to broken human words. Be careful, Prince. Not all want you alive. Some want bond broken. Some want blood. Before Aaron could ask more, the guard walked away, disappearing into the crowd. That night, he sat again with Myra. He told her what happened. Her expression grew dark. It is true then. The shadows move faster than I thought. There is a faction that does not want you. They will try to end this bond. Aaron clenched his fists. And what about the humans? I hear whispers from them too. They are afraid of me. They think I am dangerous now. Myra reached out and touched his hand, the mark glowing as their skin met. Then we must show them the truth. You are not danger. You are bridge. Bond is not a chain. Bond is choice. Aaron looked at her, and for the first time, he felt a strange sense of purpose. Maybe he had not chosen this bond, but now that it was here, maybe he could choose what to do with it. He could choose not to be a tool for factions or whispers. He could choose to stand with Myra, not as an accident, but as a partner. The shadows were moving. Conspiracies grew in silence. Yet in the middle of it, a human and a Lutheri princess shared a bond that neither fully understood, but both had begun to accept. As Aaron walked back to his quarters, the mark on his hand pulsed with faint light. He whispered to himself, if this bond was given to test me, then I will not fail. I will not let them break it. And in the dark of the station, unseen eyes watched him, waiting for the chance to strike. The tension on Haven 6 grew heavier with each passing day. Human officers whispered in quiet corners, Lutheri guards stood watch with sharper eyes, and Aaron felt the weight of every gaze. The bond had made him important, but it had also made him a target. Late one evening, the alarms broke the silence of the station. Red lights flashed across every corridor, and a voice shouted through the speakers. Warning! Unidentified ships approaching. All personnel to defense stations. Aaron jumped to his feet. He had been in his quarters, trying to rest, when the alarms started. He rushed into the hallway where panicked crew members ran past him. He saw Myra and her guards already moving toward the command deck. Her eyes were sharp, her presence steady. Who is attacking? Aaron asked as he caught up to her. Myra's voice was low. The enemy I warned of. The Greeks. They want to end this bond before it grows stronger. Aaron's chest tightened. He had never seen the Greeks, only heard stories. They were said to be ruthless, their bodies armored like living metal, their weapons brutal and swift. If they were here, then the station was in great danger. The attack began fast. Explosions rocked the walls, shaking the floor beneath their feet. The enemy had forced their way into the docking ring. Through the windows, Aaron saw dark ships clinging to the station like claws. Streams of armored figures poured inside. Human soldiers and Lutheri guards rushed to meet them. The battle filled the halls with the clash of weapons and the roar of voices. Aaron had no weapon, yet his instincts sharpened. His hearing picked out every step, his eyes tracked every shadow. The mark on his hand burned as if urging him to act. Myra pulled a blade from her guard and turned to Aaron. Stay close to me. But Aaron shook his head. I cannot just hide. If this bond means anything, I have to fight too. The princess's silver eyes locked on his. For a moment she looked ready to argue, but then she gave a short nod. Then fight as one of us. The battle moved quickly into the hangars. Aaron found himself beside Myra, dodging strikes from towering Greek soldiers. One swung its blade down at him, but his reflexes carried him aside. He grabbed a fallen rifle from the ground and fired. The recoil nearly knocked him back, but the shot burned through the enemy's chest. Adrenaline surged through him. He was no trained soldier, but his body moved with speed and power he never had before. The bond was guiding him, sharpening him, giving him strength to stand where he would have fallen. At one point, Myra was surrounded by 3 Greeks at once. Aaron did not think he rushed in. He grabbed a loose cable sparking with energy and slammed it against one of the enemy soldiers. Electricity burst across its armor, dropping it to the ground. He swung the cable like a whip at another, buying Myra the opening she needed to cut down the last. The princess looked at him with wide eyes. You saved me. Aaron, panting, shook his head. We saved each other. The battle raged on. Smoke filled the hangars, alarms blared, and the floor shook with every explosion. Aaron moved through it all with Myra at his side. The Lutheri guards fought with brutal skill, and human soldiers used every weapon they had, but the Greeks kept pressing forward. Then, in the middle of the chaos, something strange happened. Aaron's hand began to glow brighter than before. The mark spread up his arm, silver light pulsing with every heartbeat. At first he thought it was just the bond reacting to danger, but then the glow flared outward. A Greek soldier charged at him. Aaron raised his glowing hand without thinking. A blast of silver energy burst forth, striking the enemy and sending it flying across the hangar. Everyone froze for a moment, stunned. Even Aaron stared at his hand in disbelief. "What was that?" he whispered. Myra's eyes widened. "The bond grows. You are changing more than I thought possible." The guards, even in the middle of battle, shouted with renewed energy. "Prince! Prince!" The fight continued, but now Aaron felt something new inside him. He was no longer just defending himself, he was protecting everyone. Each time Myra stumbled, he was there. Each time a soldier faltered, he pulled them up. His glowing hand became a beacon in the smoke, guiding others through the chaos. Finally, after what felt like endless struggle, the attackers began to retreat. The Greeks' ships pulled away from the station, dragging their wounded with them. The defense alarms shifted from red to yellow. The battle was over, though the air was heavy with smoke and the floor was stained with fire. Aaron leaned against the wall, breathing hard. His muscles ached, his mind spun, but he was alive. Myra stepped close, placing her hand on his shoulder. "You fought with honor," she said. "Not just as human. Not just as Lutheri. You fought as both." Aaron looked at her, still stunned. "I only did what I had to. I could not stand by and watch." Myra's silver eyes softened. "That is why you are worthy. The bond does not only give strength, it reveals the truth inside you." As the smoke cleared, human officers and Lutheri guards both looked at Aaron with new respect. No one whispered now. No one doubted. They had seen him fight, seen him save lives, seen him glow with the strange light of the bond. Yet deep in his chest, Aaron felt unease. If the Greeks had attacked so boldly, then this was only the beginning. They wanted to break him and Myra before the bond grew stronger. They had failed tonight, but they would return. Aaron clenched his glowing hand. For the first time, he no longer thought of himself as just a worker or even as just a prince by accident. He thought of himself as someone who could make a difference. Someone who could stand between war and peace. But he also knew the shadows of conspiracy still lingered. The attack might have been stopped, but the true battle was only just beginning. After the attack on Haven 6, the station returned to a tense quiet. Repairs were underway, and the wounded were cared for, but the sense of danger still lingered. Aaron had changed. He moved with confidence, his glowing hand reminding everyone that the bond had deepened. Even Myra noticed a shift in him. He no longer seemed unsure or afraid. One evening, Myra approached him quietly as he walked along the observation deck. The stars shone brightly through the glass walls, reflecting in her silver eyes. "Aaron," she said, her voice soft, "the elders have called you. It is time for the moon oath." Aaron stopped and frowned. "Moon oath? What does that mean?" Myra turned to face him fully. "It is the final step of the bond. It will decide if you accept the connection completely. If you refuse, the bond will break, and the title of prince will be taken away. If you accept, you will carry the bond fully, and your fate will tie with mine and with our people." Aaron felt a weight settle on his chest. He had survived the trial, fought in battle, and endured conspiracies, but this was different. This was a choice. He had never been asked to choose anything this important in his life. "Why me?" he asked quietly. "I am just a human. I do not belong here." Myra stepped closer, her hand brushing against his glowing mark. "The bond does not choose based on birth or strength alone. It chooses heart. You have shown courage, compassion, and wisdom beyond what many Lutheri possess. That is why you are here." Aaron swallowed. He had never imagined anyone could see him this way, not a Lutheri princess, not anyone. "And if I fail?" Myra shook her head gently. "There is no failure, only truth. You will see what is in your heart. That is all the oath asks." The ceremony was held in a grand hall of the Lutheri ship. The walls were carved from silver like stone, and the ceiling opened to reveal the moons of their home world. Silver light poured down, bathing Aaron and Myra in soft radiance. Elders in ceremonial robes stood in a circle, their golden eyes fixed on him. Guards stood silently around the hall, their posture rigid, yet respectful. Aaron stepped forward, feeling the glow of the mark on his hand. The air pulsed with power, and a strange hum filled his ears. Myra stood beside him, her hand lightly touching his shoulder. He felt the thread of the bond between them, strong and unyielding, pulling him toward her. One elder, taller than the others and with fur patterned in white and gray, spoke first. "Aaron of Earth, you have been tested by the pack and proven worthy in battle. Tonight, you face the moon oath. Look into the moons above and see the paths before you. Decide where your heart belongs." Aaron looked up. 3 moons hovered in the sky, each glowing with its own light. As he gazed, visions filled his mind. He saw Earth, a blue and green world filled with people he had grown to care for. He saw Lutheri lands, forests under silver skies, mountains echoing with howls of his bond. He saw war, fire, and destruction, but also moments of friendship, trust, and bravery. He felt the pull of responsibility. The bond was not just between him and Myra, it was between 2 worlds. His choice would affect not only them but everyone who depended on the alliance. The elder continued, "The bond asks truth. Choose freely. Choose wisely. Your heart must decide, not fear, not duty." Aaron closed his eyes. His mind raced. He thought of the station under attack, the soldiers and guards he had helped, Myra fighting at his side, and the trust she had placed in him. He thought of humanity, his home, and the people who might benefit from this bond. Slowly, he opened his eyes. Myra's gaze met his, patient and steady. His hand glowed brighter as he extended it toward her. "I accept," he said firmly. "I accept the bond. Not because I am forced, but because I choose to stand with you, and with your people. I choose to fight for both our worlds." The moment he spoke, silver light erupted from his hand, spreading across the hall. The moons above shimmered brighter, and the elder's eyes widened in awe. The mark on his hand spread slightly up his arm, pulsing with life. Myra stepped closer and placed her hand fully over his. Their bond flared like a star igniting, and Aaron felt it flow through him. Power, understanding, and connection filled every nerve. He knew Myra's thoughts, her fears, and her hopes. She knew his. The thread that had first started with a bite now became a bridge between 2 hearts. The elders murmured in approval. "The bond is complete. He has chosen freely. He is prince fully." The guards bowed deeply. The humans who watched from the sidelines whispered in amazement. Aaron felt a warmth in his chest, not from the glow, but from the truth of the choice he had made. He was no longer only a worker, no longer only an outsider. He was a prince, not by accident, but by courage, wisdom, and choice. Myra's voice was soft beside him. You have chosen well. The bond is no longer only mine. It is ours. Together, we will face what comes next. Aaron nodded. For the first time, he did not feel fear. He felt purpose. The bond had given him strength, but it had also given him clarity. He would not be a pawn. He would not be a tool. He would be a bridge. The ceremony ended with quiet applause and solemn bows. The elders spoke words of blessing in their language, and the moons above shone in silent approval. Aaron looked at Myra, and she smiled faintly, proud yet gentle. That night, as they stood on the observation deck, Aaron whispered to himself, I made my choice. And I will stand by it. No matter what comes, I will not fail. The glow of the mark on his hand pulsed softly, a constant reminder that the bond was alive, powerful, and permanent. He had accepted the moon oath. He had chosen his path. And the next challenge, whatever it might be, would be faced together with Myra by his side. After the moon oath, Aaron felt a new sense of purpose. He walked through Haven 6 with Myra at his side, no longer a simple worker, no longer unsure. The bond between them glowed softly in his hand, a living thread of connection that reminded him of the choice he had made. He was prince now, fully recognized by the Lutheri and cautiously acknowledged by the humans. The station was alive with preparation. Repairs from the recent Karik's attack continued, and security protocols had been strengthened. The humans were uneasy around him, unsure of what it meant to have one of their own bound to alien royalty. The Lutheri were proud, watching him with respect. Aaron felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, heavier than any tool he had ever carried. Myra walked beside him, her silver eyes scanning the bustling corridors. There will be peace talks soon, she said quietly. Both humans and Lutheri leaders will meet to discuss alliances. They may doubt you. They may doubt me. But together, we must show them strength and trust. Aaron nodded. I understand. We have been through trials and battle. Now we need to prove ourselves in words and action, not just power. The day of the talks arrived. The main chamber was filled with humans in uniforms and Lutheri elders in ceremonial robes. The room was tense, every eye on Aaron and Myra. He could feel the bond glowing stronger as he entered, as if it knew what was at stake. The human commander, Admiral Riss, stood at the center. This gathering is unusual, he said. A human, bound to Lutheri royalty, now participates in diplomacy. We must ensure our people's safety and interests. Myra stepped forward. And we must ensure trust. The bond between me and Aaron is not only personal. It represents the potential for unity between our peoples. Whispers spread across the room. Humans and Lutheri alike were cautious. The bond was powerful, but the circumstances were unusual. No human had ever been bound to a Lutheri princess before. Many feared what it could mean. Aaron cleared his throat. I am not here to dominate or command. I am here to stand with Myra as partner and as proof that our peoples can trust each other. If we work together, we can face threats and protect both our worlds. His words drew attention. Humans saw courage, Lutheri saw loyalty. The room was silent, the tension slowly lifting as both sides began to listen. Suddenly, an alert interrupted the meeting. A small fleet of Karik's ships approached the station again, faster and more aggressive than before. Everyone froze. Panic threatened to erupt, but Aaron felt the bond pull him forward. Myra's hand rested on his arm, steady and reassuring. "We face them together," she said. Aaron moved quickly. Using both human technology and Lutheri tactics, he organized the defense. He directed human pilots to positions that would maximize their firepower while guiding Lutheri warriors to strategic points. He had learned from the last attack. This time, they would not be surprised. The battle was fierce. Karik's ships crashed into energy shields, soldiers fought in corridors, and explosions shook the station. Aaron moved through it all, coordinating humans and Lutheri alike. The bond gave him insight, connecting him with Myra and the warriors beside them. Their coordination was seamless, their actions synchronized. At one point, a group of Karik's soldiers broke through the docking bay. Aaron led a counterattack with a squad of humans and Lutheri. His glowing hand struck with precision, disabling enemy weapons and guiding others safely. Myra fought alongside him, her blade flashing in the dim light. Together, they were unstoppable. The Kariks eventually retreated, damaged and demoralized. The station had survived another attack, but the battle left scars. Aaron and Myra stood side by side, watching the aftermath. Guards and soldiers bowed to him again, calling him Prince. But this time, Aaron understood what it meant. He had earned it, not by accident, but through action, courage, and choice. Later, in the observation deck, Aaron looked at Myra. The moons of the Lutheri homeworld shone brightly, their silver light reflecting in the glass walls. "We did it," he said quietly. "We survived again." Myra smiled. "We did more than survive. We showed both our peoples what trust and unity can achieve. The bond is stronger, not only between us, but for everyone." Aaron touched the mark on his hand. It pulsed softly, like a heartbeat. "I never imagined I could do this. I never imagined I could be a prince. But now I know it is not the title that matters. It is the choice behind it. The choice to protect, to stand together, and to fight for what is right." Myra reached out and held his hand fully. "And you will not be alone. I am with you. The bond will guide us, but our hearts will lead the way." Aaron nodded. He felt a calm strength inside him. For the first time, he felt ready for the future, ready for the challenges that would come. He had survived trials, conspiracies, and battle. Now, he stood at the threshold of a new era, a human and a Lutheri united, leading both their peoples. The station settled into quiet once more. Humans and Lutheri began working together in ways they had never before. They shared knowledge, repaired damage, and trained together. Aaron moved through the station with a sense of belonging. He was no longer just a worker or an accidental prince. He was a symbol of unity, a bridge between two worlds, and a living example of what courage and choice could achieve. As the moons shone above the station, Aaron whispered to himself, "I will honor this bond. I will protect both worlds. I will be prince not because I was chosen, but because I choose to stand for what is right." Myra stood beside him, her hand on his shoulder. Together, they looked out at the stars, knowing that whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them as one. Their bond was no longer just a connection, it was a promise. A promise that humans and Lutheri could walk together, face dangers together, and build a future together. And in that moment, on Haven 6, a human and a Lutheri princess stood united, no longer strangers, no longer bound by accident, but bound by choice, courage, and trust. Aaron had become more than a prince, he had become a leader, a protector, and a symbol of hope for two worlds. The story of the bond would continue, but for now, peace settled over the station. And Aaron, once a simple maintenance worker, understood the true power of choice, courage, and unity.